Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about something really cringy, and that's the state of Division 2 really, because let's be honest, with the new World Tier 5 update we got a lot more content, very good content, no doubt. Tidal Basin is one of the most interesting and most fun stronghold to do in my opinion. The only problem I have with the entire problem with this new World Tier 5 is it's made World Tier 4 completely obsolete, and you've seen it with, Wids builds and a lot of other stuff similar to that. So, and it's a bit of a shame because whilst those builds there they were overpowered and easy to make, they were a good point for people to try and aim for. Yeah, you still had to be quite lucky to get the good builds. I mean, it was mostly to do with the talents nonetheless, and they needed to be nerfed, and they've done that. But to then go ahead and remove all this crit hit chance and crit hit damage at the same time, they've nerfed SMG builds quite a lot. Now, despite these nerfs, they are still a very strong build. They are still used by everyone because it's still very viable. My issue is with the skill builds. These skill builds that I made one or two before, and whilst I never end up uploading the second one, the first one was really interesting and really good, and a lot of people were interested in that build because it looked really fun. The issue now being that, well, we can't do that anymore because, well, they've just nerfed all these talents, and I'm not sure if it was deliberate because I never saw it in the patch notes. And when I was doing my testing to see if I could still use lucky shots with Chem Launcher, I mean, it still doesn't proc, and I'm not sure if that's intentional. I mean, I never thought the lucky shots was meant to be intentional for a Chem Launch either. But then they also reduced skill power requirements, which was a good thing. I'm not saying that's bad because it makes it more accessible. You can now build a more tankier build. But at the end of the day, the nerfs kind of ruined the overall reductions in the skill power. I mean, yes, you only need 2,000 or 3,000 skill power now, but unfortunately the mods aren't 80%, 50% anymore. They're 20%, 10%, and, well, that's no good, is it? I mean, the damage was already lackluster before the patch, and even my build was, reasonably strong in AoE. It was really bad in single target. In PvP it was still bad, but for the content I was doing, which was mostly PvE, it was performing very well. And it's a bit of a shame that that's how the game has gone, and I hope they really do fix it because no one is running skill builds anymore, or very little, because the utilities, while still there, is all that is there. There's no damage really. The damage that was there is gone. It's vanished. I think it may be a bit butthurt because I'm mostly talking about my build here, but it's loads of people's builds, especially the turret skills. The 25% damage on top of 8k is nothing, and they should have fixed this. I mean, let's have a look quickly right now. I can't even run my normal oxidizer Chem Launch build because I don't have the skill power to do it anymore. I can reshuffle my gear to do it, but for 13% extra damage and 20% duration, it's not even worth it. I mean, plus 4 ammo, plus 5 ammo, yeah, it's helpful, but the cooldown, 26.7 seconds per charge, I can fire 5 at once, and in group content there is a lot of enemies, and they'll just move out of it, so I'm going to have to keep firing. I'm going to have to keep hitting them with this, because, well, I've sacrificed every bit of damage with my weapon so I can make my Chem Launcher reasonably strong. So I end up playing this sort of hybrid spec where I've used an LMG most of the time now because I can't do any real damage anymore, and not until I've rebuilt my entire character, which is what I will be doing soon anyway. I will be rechanging myself to be more LMG based, because until they fix the skill power, I'm better off going a hybrid with a suppression focus, because I'm guessing suppression is one of the best sort of CCs, especially against stuff like grenadiers and the likes. I think there's something behind me. Okay, let's focus on this. The sort of build I'm working with right now, though, is a pure focus on the typical AR SMG crit build, because it works. I don't have to put any effort in. People have done that for me. I can just copy paste that and it still works reasonably well. I still go down a lot more often than I like, but that's probably just my bad playing, having to adapt my entire playstyle. But I don't think that's really what the game wants us to do. I don't think it's fair, or the game even intends for us to play and funnel into one specific way, because what's the point? What's the point of doing these builds if the only build that works is, you know, Rhino and, well, Unbreakable, sorry, and Berserk. I think it's very boring, and I really would like to see them alter the way they do skills, because it's more interesting the more ways people can find to play the game. I mean, I'd rather see 50 different ways that are only moderate in doing something than one way that is, you know, completely the only way. And that's my thoughts on the entire thing at the moment, so I'm going to be leaving it there. And I'd like to see your views. Could you please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and tell me how you feel about these skill power changes, because that's really the problem I'm having. Is I loved playing skill power and now it's gone. Thanks very much for listening to my rant, and I'll see you around.